Let's go over that Voices of Refugees assignment so that you know exactly what we're looking for, exactly how to interpret what the questions are asking you to do, and you are set up for success. So when you click on that document, the first thing you're going to see is you are going to see the two passages, excerpt 1 and excerpt 2. And from now on, I'm going to say the word passage because I cannot say that other word aloud. So you're going to read through all of excerpt 1, then you're going to read excerpt passage 2. Okay, just a quick note that's really important. Both of the passages are written from the same character's perspective. So it's not two different people. It's important to know same character. There will be a question that kind of addresses that in a little bit. So question number 1, this is where you start actually doing some work here. This is like a brainstorm step. So 1A is asking you to compare and contrast the two texts. So in the egg for passage 1, you are going to write down anything that is unique to that passage. So the second passage doesn't address it or doesn't mention it. We're looking for like conceptual things, but you could also talk about just right there things. Like if one of them talks about school and one of them does not, or one of them mentions family, that's a little bit deeper, and one of them doesn't. So look for what do they have in common, that's going to go in the both, and then what is particular to the two separately. This is to lead you, oh, and by the way, you can write incomplete sentences or just as a list. This is to lead you into the next slide, which is really what we're going for, and that is what is striking about these two texts being paired together. So they were specifically put side by side, and they, as you'll be able to tell from your step prior to this, they do have some pretty significant differences. So what is different about them, and what are we supposed to be getting? Like what underlying message, if we read between the lines, should we be getting from the fact that we've got one text and another text that is very opposite in a lot of ways right next to each other? There's a deeper message and purpose for them being together. What is that? And we want you to explain. So we're looking at least 3 to 4 sentences here, okay? This one you could also talk about similarities, but I think the most significant thing is going to be the differences, because you'll see that there are some significant differences between the two. So that's question 1B. Moving on to question 2, here's where we're going to put you to the test. This is where that topic review and that topic work came in. So question 2 is, what is the main topic in excerpt 1? We are looking for that pro level topic. So we're looking for, again, 1 to 2 words. It's telling us the main subject of the text. What's the content, the deep level content within that text? I would strongly suggest, this is helpful for me, in this little brainstorm box, you can just start listing all of the topics you can think of. One thing that is not the correct answer is refugees. That is for sure a topic, but that's the topic of our overarching unit of the entire book. So we're going to ask you to be really specific. So for that one passage 1, what is that specific topic that matches that? So I would start by listing all of the things I can think of, because sometimes figuring out the low level topics helps you figure out what's actually a deeper meaning. The next step is to figure out, if you had to choose one of those, what would the main topic in that excerpt be? And that's where you're going to type right here where it says final answer. You're going to put that there. Now, I'm giving you kind of an out here, so it is optional to explain why you chose that answer if you're not super sure. So if you're unconfident, a lot of it can depend on your explanation of it. So write some thoughts there about why you chose that one, especially if you are not super certain, okay? So what is the topic in excerpt 1? You're going to repeat that in question 3. Now you're going back to passage 2, the second one. Again, what is the topic there? I would argue that they are 2 different topics. And again, yes, you could say that they have the same overarching topic. Some of the topics are going to overlap, but I think that the main topics are different. So look for what is unique to topic 2 that you think is really the most important subject matter or content underneath there. You've got the same steps. You can brainstorm, which I would strongly suggest. You're going to write your answer in the box with a highlight, and then you can explain yourself, especially if you are not super confident. Question 4, what surprises you about this boy's observations of America? Does it put into perspective anything about the way we live that we often take for granted? Explain. One of the things that I think is just most eye-opening in this unit is the things that we think are normal for a lot of the world, millions of people are not. So for instance, when I was working on this assignment, my daughter came down and she was asking me what we could eat. And we have tons of things to eat in the house, but there was nothing that sounded good to her probably because none of them were like donuts or chocolate. So she was complaining. And I was like, hang on a second. Like, think about how fortunate we actually are to have all the options that we have. So for you, what is super surprising about how this character, this refugee who has come to America, what's significant about how he's experiencing it? Like, what stands out as something that doesn't stand out for us normally? And talk through that, explain and discuss a little bit. Lastly, there's no right answer or wrong answer for this slide. This is kind of just a self-assessment to give us some feedback of how you're feeling about topic, because we're going to be moving on very soon. So on a scale of 1 to 5, my understanding of topic is 1 is like, I don't even know what you're talking about, and 5 is like, move over, let me teach the class. Second one is, okay, so the first one focuses on your understanding of the concept, and then the second one is about when we ask you to identify a topic of a text, how confident are you? So you can just write your number there. You are going to turn that in on Google Classroom. It is due today.